Everyone still looks uncomfortable.
Perhaps they're all remembered that old saying, power corrupts.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Second Officer Slog. I am Jackson Tyler, your host for today. I'm joined by Em. Hello.
Hello. Hi.
Hi. This is the weekly. I tried to say this and these, but
we don't edit these, right?
Yes, I do. Everyone
Okay.
loves it. I'm endearing. This is what I've been told.
No, that's fair.
This and these is at our fucking weekly Discovery episodes. We have watched this week's Star Trek Discovery. We're going to talk about it. We used to do an ironic section where you watch the Orville, but you're free.
I still have not watched the Orville.
You still have not watched the Orville. You missed a week and you're out.
I watched a really good episode of DS9 where O'Brien was like the Manchurian candidate as a clone, and then he watched himself die. It was really good.
Deep Space Nine is a phenomenal television show. If you enjoy Discovery,
yeah,
go back and watch Deep Space Nine. I mean, go back and watch
you know what?
TNG.
I have to listen to fucking people on my feed every week talk about how Discovery isn't as good as Deep Space Nine, because I know some people who are Deep Space Nine stans in a way I will never understand.
I mean, the thing that annoys you about that, like, take as a genre of take, I guess, is that it, like, purports that DS9 is the true and superior Trek because it tears the other things down, and not that it's just another good one.
Yes. And it does tear the other things down, but it needs those other things to exist with it and for it.
Yes. It's good. But TNG is better. It's a better show.
It's a much better show. I'm sorry. It just is.
I understand the opinion. There are times I would much rather watch DS9. It's a fantastic television show. What it does is amazing, but TNG, there's a reason it's the one.
Yeah.
So, Discovery. This week's episode is called...
Choose your pain.
Yes, it is called... what's that again?
Choose your pain.
It's called Section 31, Choose Your Pain.
No, it is more like choose your pain. Because you're talking through fake teeth.
Yes. Klingon voices are weird in this show.
Laurel and Vok are really good, and the captain of this ship was really good. Everyone else. Oh, is that Laurel? That is Laurel.
That's what I was going to say. I was like, that was Laurel.
Yep.
Right? I'm fairly sure it was Laurel.
Yes, 100%. Because, that asks
I know.
a very big question about what she's been doing for a month.
Yes, it does ask a big question.
Yes.
Yes, it sure does. Let me look up what this episode...
Wait, that doesn't make any...
Yeah,
we'll get into it.
I know. Yeah, I know. I watched the episode and then I had that thought, and then just in case you are not watching this week, this episode aired 15th of October 2017. It had a teleplay by Kemp Powers, story by Gretchen J. Berg, Aaron Herberts, and Kemp Powers, and was directed by Lee Rose. It takes place in December 2256. These are the details.
Not Gretchen
of Choose Your
Elberg,
Pain.
who is from the Mirror Universe.
Yeah. Well, have you said Gretchen Elberg like 5 times already?
That was last episode where the
Okay,
Gretchen Elberg thing happened.
Yes, I remember now.
It just feels like it was a lifetime ago because weeks.
Oh, these weeks have felt so long. It feels like Discovery's been airing for ages.
Yes.
So, we'll do a quick recap of this episode. Do you want to take that?
Yes, I will take that. In fact, it's almost as if we
Like
agreed
it was
upon the fact that you would host and I would do the recap.
Oh, yeah, I was like, what if I do this naturally, but then realized I couldn't get away with that. I would have to be minorly roasted.
So, Captain Lorca is being interrogated by admirals of Starfleet, and being told to stand down from using the spore drive to get around and get stuff done because maybe the Klingons are going to catch on, and also they're having trouble figuring out how to make that drive go on other ships because you need a tardigrade and they only have one. On his way back, he is intercepted by a Klingon warship that takes him captive, and he's put in the brig with one Harcourt Fenton Mudd from the original series and a Starfleet POW named Ash Tyler. they are being tortured by Klingons for information. There's a lot of dramatics. Things are revealed about Lorca that we will talk about. In fact, like what happened to him before he was captain of the Discovery. Why are his eyes injured? Things like that. Meanwhile, on the Discovery, acting Captain Saru is being tasked with finding Lorca and getting him back because they need him. Saru is having a hard time being a captain. And meanwhile, Michael Burnham is like, hey, this tardigrade is a living thing. We probably shouldn't enslave it and torture it to make our ship go. We need to figure out a different way.
What?
Saru's not having it. There's a bunch of discussions. Burnham basically gets everyone else on her side except Saru. But Saru is acting captain, so Saru puts his foot down, and thus the tardigrade must be used. The tardigrade is used, stranding them in Klingon space as it shrivels up into its, like, waterless tardigrade survival state. Meanwhile, Paul Stamets decides to use tardigrade DNA to splice it into his own body to allow him to direct the ship, because he always wanted to commune with his mushrooms.
He communes with his mushrooms. It happened.
This happens just in time to intercept Captain Lorca and Ash Tyler, who escaped the Klingon facility that is apparently being run by L'Rell. We'll get into that. And they're being back on board. The ship escapes back to Federation space. Paul Stamets seems to be okay, even though he injected himself that DNA and then was like pierced by the weird machine that the Glenn had built to interface with the tardigrade. He's being checked out by the doctor, who is his boyfriend. It's very cute. And then they're going to bed, and they walk away from the bathroom mirror, and in the reflection is Paul Stamets smiling into the mirror.
Yes.
The
I
end.
wonder what that could imply. I wonder what that could imply.
Yeah, I don't know. What does a mirror mean in Star Trek? That's not rife with significance.
I couldn't possibly know any revealed
like,
news.
The
about
the mechanics in which that might like actually have happened are very mysterious to me, to be fair.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, this episode is probably the weakest episode so far, but in a nice, like, oh, it's just an episode of Star Trek way.
There's a lot of like good character stuff though.
Yeah, like you get acting captain, but it's like every single one of the previous episodes was crucial when setting up the show. You have the big movie that launches it, you have this big episode that introduces the Discovery and gets Burnham on board, and then you have the episode where the actual status quo of Burnham being on the Discovery is established as like a mold. And this is the first, like, okay, we have an episode of television here. We've got our ship, we've got our captain, we have a thing that happens.
Yep.
And it was nice. I liked that. I liked that approach, which definitely meant it was less impactful, but it was a good hour of television.
Yes. The most important thing here, Cadet Tilly says fuck.
Cadet Tilly says a fuck. They are in maybe they still would explain the science of the last few episodes.
There's like a 5-minute scene that is just Burnham, Tilly, and Stamets basically laying out exactly how this drive works, because it's time for Star Trek to explain the science behind their magic science. And
someone walked into the writer's room like, okay, we need to know how this works because the nerds are going to be angry.
And then Tilly goes, you guys, this is so fucking cool. She's so excited. And then she apologizes, and Stamets replies, no, it is fucking cool. Because it is. It
is fucking cool. But Tilly is so pure. And then Stamets turns to her and is like, yeah, it is fucking cool. And he is the lamest man who has ever lived.
Oh, I love Stamets. Me and Stamets
me
would have been like
too.
best friends at a certain point in my life.
Me too. But you cannot deny that he is not the lamest man who ever lived.
No, of course. I mean, he is. He's so good. I love that he is here. I like Anthony Rapp. Like, I'm still the person who will stand for parts of Rent in 2017, and he's great. That's my. I assume he has done other things between Rent and Star Trek Discovery, but this is what I know him from,
such as Rent,
the film.
Yep. Which no one will stand for.
So that was my introduction to, this is a little outside, but whatever. That was my introduction to Rent, so I have a soft spot for it, even though I've seen the show twice since then. Like, the show is much better. Obviously, that movie is bad, but because it was my first exposure to it, I have affection for it. The fact that everyone is like 15 years too old to be playing all the characters they're playing is maybe the secret part of that saves Rent from the movie from not being like the worst thing in the world.
It's pretty funny.
Because every part about it is just like old people trying to recapture a thing that doesn't matter anymore.
2004.
Yeah. Chris Columbus,
God. Also, classic Tilly moments is this episode begins with her like going up to Burnham like, we're gonna have lunch.
No,
It's gonna happen.
this episode begins with her snoring loudly in their room.
Right, fuck. This episode is heavy on the Tilly Burnham ship content.
Yes, yes, it is.
Like Burnham wakes up and then it just pans over to Tilly, who's like,
Yep. I feel like she should go see the doctor. Like that's not. She could probably get that fixed.
I mean, why would she? Like, she hasn't slept in like
snoring.
rooms with
Snoring
people.
can be bad for you.
It can,
Yeah.
but it can also just be normal.
It can be normal. I'm just saying, as someone who has sleep apnea, she should make sure. Be careful.
Oh, for sure. But she doesn't really have many roommates.
Yep.
Why? Who would notice?
But yeah, then she sits with her in the cafeteria. Is like, I'm going to be your friend. We're going to be friends.
And it's pretty good. It's very awkward. I love how Burnham isn't like pissed off with her. She's just as kind of confused, but she loves Tilly. Everyone loves Tilly.
I mean, after several episodes of being basically like traumatized and dealing with it, Burnham is very like back on her bullshit this episode.
Oh, extremely.
Yeah.
I like Tilly as like a way for Burnham to actually, because she's not a person who's going to like talk about her problems ever unless you put this other person in front of her who's going to force her to, as the least awkward way through a conversation.
Yep. So yeah, Jackson, tell me about acting Captain Saru.
Acting Captain Saru is amazing. This episode, after that, like the plot is established and Lorca gets kidnapped with the single most disposable character in Star Trek, who is the shuttle pilot that is escorting Lorca back to the Discovery when he gets kidnapped.
Yeah.
Lasts about 36 seconds maximum.
Yeah, Lorca grabs two rifles, tosses one to that guy, Klingons burst in and stab that other guy immediately.
Oh, rip him!
Yeah, no.
Sarah was placed in charge, which, and he walks in. Oh, he has an argument with Burnham first, as Burnham basically is. Look,
that is not the first thing he does, Jackson.
What is the first? I'm forgetting the exact order, but you know what
The
I'm building
first thing
to.
he does is queries the ship's computer.
No, that is after the argument with
Oh,
Burnham.
is it? Okay.
That's
All right.
why I corrected myself.
Okay.
Because it's the argument with Burnham that causes him to
Okay, good.
go back in there. Because Burnham comes up to him and is like, we can't jump. We absolutely cannot jump. We're going to kill that thing. It is cruel. It is wrong. This is a bad idea. And then Sarah's like, using that was your idea in the first place.
Yep, which he's not wrong.
2, I'm acting captain of a ship that doesn't have its real captain who has been captured, and we have a teleportation option. If I have to sacrifice a thing, I will make the pragmatic decision. I don't like doing that, but someone has to. Poor Sarah.
Yeah.
And so he's very nervous and walks into his captain's room. Into Lorca's room because they sit at his standing desk.
Yeah, no, he gets a tall chair and he sits in it. It's great.
Oh, it's so good. We made a side effect of making a standing desk for a normal person is we have a good sized sitting table for Saru.
Yep.
Because he's so huge in the bridge chair. But then he goes up to the computer and brings up a list of Starfleet's most decorated captains and asks the computer to like compare his performance to those and basically go, is Burnham being here affecting my judgment too much? Because it's like, there is an unstable element and I can't remove it and it is going to affect my performance. I need the computer to tell me if I'm doing okay. And the captains that come up on the screen, do you have the screen there or...
No, but it's Robert Abril.
Yes,
Robert
I've got a
Abril.
list.
It is Jonathan Archer. It
Yes.
is Christopher Pike. It is Philippa Georgiou and Matthew Decker.
Matthew Decker, yes.
I have named all 5 off the top of my head. Good job, me.
That is it. Yes, those are the lists. All of them have been seen before. Obviously, we both most marked out for Archer.
Yes, I suppose. We'll
Come
see.
on.
So the thing, while I will always mark out for an Enterprise reference, I feel like using Archer as a name drop has been ruined by Star Trek 09, where they're like, "You transported up Admiral Archer's dog" or whatever. Is a throwaway line.
That's
in
non-canon now. I've decided.
I'm sorry, but it's true.
It's under. I put it in the basket with KRONOS Kronos.
Yeah, well, look, the Kelvin verse is full of bullshit.
Oh, I understand why that would ruin Archer references forever, because God, it's bad. The fucking dog shows up at the end of the movie. Oh, God damn it. Of all the tangents.
Yep.
But that is a very cool reference, because you get a bunch of deep lore bullshit. It is very nice whenever this show reminds you that no, this is incredibly Star Trek. Stop saying it's not. Fuck off, people.
But where's Captain T'Pol? Like, I want the deep cuts.
That's true. That is fair. I want people who have not been seen to be captains, but are definitely captains.
Yeah.
T'Pol was a captain at some point.
But also, she's going to end up being a captain, right? Like, come on.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way.
Yeah.
She could still be a captain.
Yep.
Where is Captain T'Pol?
Make the Enterprise novels canon and put Captain Charles Tucker III in there.
Yep. God. Oh, he made that list and then Trip came up as one of the most decorated captains.
That would be great, because it would just make I don't want to talk about this because maybe people are going to watch Enterprise, but that ends up conflicting with some stuff we know about the Enterprise world in the show, but the books also tried to go out of their way to contradict it. So yeah, we'll get to that when we cover Enterprise someday.
The infamous final episode of Enterprise has been retconned by fans and books, and presumably if any show builds in it, will also do that. Like, there's no way it won't, because everyone hates it, and the people who wrote it and made it said it was a mistake.
Yep.
But yeah, so the main thrust of the episodes are the discussions on the Klingon ship between Mudd, Lorca, and Ash Tyler.
Ash Tyler, yes.
Ash Tyler, Doctor Who-ass fucking name right there.
Yep.
And the dual plots on the ship of Saru trying to find Lorca and Burnham ignoring Saru's instructions and trying to save the Tardigrade while in the middle of this incredibly stressful situation.
Yep.
The episode, the actual very first thing that happens is a really unsettling dream sequence of her, being in the spore box like the Tardigrade and basically clearly being scared for it.
Yes, God, what's his name? The guy who left.
The guy who left?
The showrunner. What's his name?
Oh, Brian Fuller.
Yes. While Brian Fuller is no longer attached to this show, the fact that the two showrunners are longtime Brian Fuller collaborators are all over this, because this episode begins and ends basically like any episode of Hannibal.
Yes, I haven't even seen that much Hannibal, but yes, I've seen enough Hannibal clips and know how true that is.
Yep.
And the thing that is great about that opening dream sequence isn't the big, I'm in the thing and I'm screaming. It's the full minute of really unsettling, just panning shots of the empty sets that go on. It just pans through the empty ships, which is fantastic, because anytime you're just going to give me more corridors, I'm into that.
Yeah, no, for sure. But what were we actually on about? Oh, so Burnham going to Dr. Hugh Culber to hey, this tardigrade's maybe hurting, and Hugh Culber is like, well, okay, you're the one who's let's use this, so let's do the science and figure out whether or not it's real or not. Maybe we can actually save it. And then convincing him, and then they both go to Stamets to try to convince him, and Culber pulls I'm gonna undermine my boyfriend card, just enough to get under his skin, but not enough to overstep, and then leaves immediately.
Yeah, so they come to him we think we have medical proof that the Tardigrade is being hurt by this. Also, look at it, and we recommend that we should look for alternative ways. And then Stamets is like, we're in the middle of a very difficult situation. There's not much I can actually do about this. And then he just goes, that's true, goodbye.
But then Stamets like, well, okay, if you want to do the work, we'll do the work. It's important to do proper science. And so he does the science with Burnham to figure it out. And then they both go to Saru, and Burnham climbing her way up the chain of command to get the evidence she needs is really good.
It's very good. I love that scene with Burnham and Stamets, because it's played at first Stamets is being shitty and Burnham sticking it to this unfair Starfleet person who won't trust our ideas, but instead it's no, you keep coming up to people and going, oh, this thing that we thought was right is actually wrong, even if it was your idea in the first place. And it's pissing us all off. Can you actually help make things better and stop? We want to work with you, but you have to do that in a certain way. It can't just be doing it on your own and overpowering everyone else. And her like stepping back and going into actual, like that scene with them all standing around explaining the science is basically a meeting room scene.
Yeah.
So we loved it.
Yeah, no, it's great. But yeah, then Saru pulls rank being very ill-equipped to be captain. I like that our whole, like, Saru's gonna one day totally get owned immediately happens in episode 5.
Immediately! Literally immediately. And not even, like, by Lorca, just by himself.
Yeah, no, he is just incapable of being in command of a starship. And, like, the thing is, he knows, like, the reason he's bad is not because he's bad at making the choices, it's that he doesn't believe he's capable of making the choices.
Yeah. The Saru stuff is fantastic in this episode. It defines him in a really nice way of balancing the fact that he's kind of not good enough at this stuff at like command to do it, but also he's still he's like self-aware and knows he's not an idiot.
Yeah.
There's an easy way you could play him too broad and make him an idiot, and they do a great job of making him not that.
Yeah, no, instead it's like you get his antagonism towards Burnham, you know that he's making the wrong decision, you get the sense he knows he's making the wrong decision, but he doesn't know what to do.
Yeah, and this is all like paid off in one of the final scenes of the episode, but we'll probably get to that later.
Yeah, and
so the stuff.
So they overuse the tardigrade and it collapses and dehydrates to get into like its survival mode, which is what actual real tardigrades do, which is crazy, but I assume it doesn't look like that because that's very dramatic, but I love it. And then they have the plan, well, what if we just inject the DNA into a human? Because humans can totally do that. And he's like, that's crazy. You have to find a way to revive the tardigrade. And they're like, well, we'll get right on that. Clearly not going to go do that because that's not possible.
It's a great moment because they're like, oh, we've ran a scan across all compatible life signs, all compatible species with this DNA. Who else can interface with the mushrooms? And like basically, Burnham gives a speech to Saru like, we found out that human beings still have fungal DNA.
Well, what that means is that all the humanoid species in the galaxy could interface with the mushrooms because of the seeding. It's not the Iconians; it's some other race.
I thought I haven't.
No, the Iconians are not the ones in the chase. It is just some other alien that probably predates the Iconians even.
Oh, so infinite cycles of Mass Effect.
Yes.
Fucking that one episode's so dumb. It implies so much about that universe.
I really think the key of that episode is just to answer the dumb fan question of why can all these species fuck?
Because they can.
Yeah, because they were all seeded by an alien long, long ago.
Tell you who's going to be seeded by an alien. God damn it. So the way that all goes down is as they are rescuing, we'll finish up this part of the Discovery plots. So as they are like they get a lock on Lorca and they beam over and in the last minute, and they're like, okay, shit, we're in the middle of Klingon space and we're going to get very dead unless we can go right now. And Saru just goes, okay, are we ready to go? And you get a through the radio reply from Stamets going, yes, we are ready. So clearly has injected himself with has injected either himself or Burnham with the DNA. That is, I feel, the tension they are playing with at that point.
I think it was obvious that was him. He wanted to commune with his mushrooms.
He did want to commune with it. Well, no, I was really worried that Burnham would have done it because she's always been making the rash things. He's been a bit more. So the reveal that it was him was very nice to me. Like, then they do it and they get away and they're like, oh shit, his life signs are down. And Saru like runs to engineering. It's not engineering. It's I guess it is technically engineering.
It's engineering. Yes,
it is actually engineering. It's bioengineering because they're a spore ship.
Yeah, like they have a warp core, but they've also converted it into a weird biomedical lab.
This show is good. This show has no right being as good as it is. And then he's like collapsed in the spore chamber, and there's a moment of, oh, is he dead? Is he dead? And obviously not. Because
don't so easily gloss over Saru crouching down like a crazy Spider-Man and a close-up on his face just looking like the weirdest alien in the entire world.
It's a really uncomfortable shot, but it's very good. Doug Jones is fantastic.
Yeah.
The amount of like expression that comes through that makeup is unreal.
Yeah, like it very much leans into, oh right, Saru's like an alien, and sometimes that's kind of weird when you're confronted with it.
Yeah, no, he just bends down and is like, oh, have I killed a person through my actual command? Have I fucked up somehow? Oh no.
Yep. He hasn't.
But no, he's fine. And they beam
I
out
wouldn't
and-
say he's fine. He's been stabbed in the ribs multiple times.
He's been stabbed in the ribs multiple times. He has changed his DNA and will eventually be revealed to have done something to the universe, or something weird is going on with Stamets / everything, and he is the conduit. We don't quite know just yet.
Yep. So all that happens, and then he talks to Burnham. Do you want to cover his conversation with Burnham?
I was going to do all that in the wrap-up stuff, but no, we can do that first.
Yeah, then we'll talk about... Well, I want to talk about the Klingon stuff last.
Okay, yes, we'll do all the Discovery stuff. Yeah, so
Yes.
And then after everything is done, he goes to Burnham, who has been confined to quarters since the last time Saru realized that she was just ignoring all his orders and undermining his command completely because he's not capable of commanding a starship. Holy shit. He goes in and basically says that, like, she asks him if are you actually scared of me? And he's like, no, I'm not scared of you. I'm pissed off with you. I'm jealous of you. I'm annoyed of everything that happened with Giorgio. And he's still really sad about how getting passed over for the first officer role, and specifically from the perspective of, like, not that he wasn't able to be a first officer, but this person who they both loved chose her as, like, the surrogate child and taught her everything, and now he's woefully underprepared and living in the consequences of what Burnham did, and he's fully aware of all these things and trying to balance them. It's a really nice scene.
Yep. And then Burnham shows that Giorgio left her the telescope at the end of last episode and then gives it to Saru.
It's really sweet.
Yep. She's like, you deserve to see the galaxy the same way she did. And then Saru deletes his, like, computer, tell me how good a captain I am program.
Yeah, he doesn't need an answer. He knows what he did.
Yep. Which, like, is not the wrong thing. He's just not ready to live with being a captain. Like, being a captain means making awful choices all the time, right?
I mean, he knows that. Like, he never was aware, he never was, like, unaware that the stuff he was doing was fucked up and hurting someone. He was just trying to compartmentalize in order to save as many people as possible.
Yeah.
And the way that he is able to, like, talk about that to Burnham afterwards, and they are, like, still able to reconnect after she completely undermined his command, was really nice.
Yep.
And he gives, as acting captain, gives her one final order, which is to save the Tardigrade's life.
Yes. And so it cuts to Tilly and Burnham with, like, a weird, like, Tilly's, like, basically, like, commemorating the tardigrade, like, almost like a eulogy, because they're not sure if this is going to work. And they have this awkward moment together, and then they pour spores of the tardigrade and eject it into space.
Yeah, and then the Tardigrade, like, ingests all the spores and like, balloons out and smiles through its weird prosthetics, like, clearly the happiest it's ever been, and flies off into nothing. It's beautiful.
It warps into mycelium space.
It warps into subspace. When I said
It's
flies
amazing.
up into nothing, I meant warps into subspace.
The fact that Star Trek just has, like, tardigrades that live through the mycelium network, like, flying through space faster than any starship, is the best thing that they've added to Star Trek.
Well, yeah, but it's, like, it's peak a thing that would just be in an episode of TNG.
Yep.
It's just Space Whale, but from a different angle.
Yep. But that space whale has been like 3 episodes, and will continue to, its legacy will continue on.
Well, because this episode's, like, the core conflict at the start is they're like, okay, if tardigrades are required in order to use the spore engine, we need a way of, like, manufacturing them. We need a way of turning them into assets that all ships can use because we need to win this war.
Oh shit.
Yes. Yeah, yes. And then they blast the only one they have into space. So the last remnant of the Tardigrade is inside Paul Stamets.
No, my oh shit is realizing that they're going to give that formula to give people tardigrade DNA to other ships now.
Yes.
Oh god.
Yes, no.
Oh god.
There's only one option, and it is to turn humans into living, like, spore engines.
The last scene is him, Stamets, and Colbert brushing their teeth, getting ready for bed. They have a tender moment, and then
brushing their teeth with specific, weirdly designed future Star Trek toothbrushes. I want to be clear.
they're not. Look, if you've seen, like, an automatic toothbrush, they're not that weird.
I've seen automatic toothbrushes. They're fairly weird. They're, like, advanced and slim in the way that automatic toothbrushes aren't. Bend in a way. Like,
but they're not that
designed
crazy.
That toothbrush.
Yes, for sure, but they're not that crazy. I bet you could go buy that toothbrush off, like, Amazon right now.
I don't think it's that close. No.
That 100% feels like a designer. It's probably expensive, but I bet you could get it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, neither of us know anywhere near enough about toothbrushes. This is not sponsored by the toothbrush Quip.
Yes. Anyway, they walk away, and then there's mirror Stamets or whatever that is staring back through the mirror with nobody there. And that's how the episode ends. And it's fucked up. It's
a fucked up ending. It's very good. There's clearly I mean, they've confirmed that there's mirror universe shit going on. No one really knows how as of yet. But
this might not actually be mirror universe. Also, that's the thing.
It could just be a weird thing with the. I've seen people speculating that this proves that Discovery itself is happening in the mirror universe. Which no, it's not. Fuck off.
No, that's dumb. That's stupid.
Yes, that is dumb and indeed stupid. But I don't. Yeah, it's a very exciting ending. It's a very unsettling ending, and implies a lot for the tone of the next few episodes of this. It also gives a plot that isn't dealing with war stuff. That is now that the Tardigrade's gone, there needs to be internal plot for Discovery without bringing Klingons in order to give the drama of the day. And this is going to do it.
You didn't watch the preview for the next episode, did you?
It wasn't even there.
Oh, okay. All right.
Usually that comes at the end of the episode.
Yes, there was a preview on the app, so I've seen a preview for the next episode.
Okay, yes, because we're in different countries, so our means of getting these episodes are different.
So the other half, Gabriel Lorca being interrogated by Admiral Cromwell and the rest of the Admiral team.
So Admiral Cromwell's the lady, right?
Yes. Or Cornwell, not Cromwell. Cornwell.
I'm going to say, that's not the name.
I
would have remembered Admiral Cromwell.
Cornwell.
She is a counselor.
Yes, she's a doctor. She's a psychiatrist. That has been confirmed by one of the showrunners on Twitter or After Trek. I don't know. I got it from a Star Trek fan account. I don't know where they picked it up from. I don't watch After Trek. It's embarrassingly bad.
It really is. Oh, rip. You have the conversation there about, how are we going to win this war? You need to. They are almost certainly onto Discovery as a weapon unless you cool it down right now. Because he begins by listing, we saved the mining colony at Corvin 2, and then 4 other things that we haven't seen.
Yep. They've just been busy for a couple weeks.
A classic TV. It's been this long, and here's what's happened since in the status quo moment.
Yeah, apparently, it's been 3 weeks according to Memory Alpha.
So. Yes. And they admonish him for that, and they're like, okay, we've got to sort this out, but he's too busy being kidnapped in order to bring this message to the crew.
Well, also, him and Cornwell have this moment where, she's like, you need to, chill out. You've got Michael Burnham, you've got this crazy space, Black Ops ship. We trust you. You just need to, chill out and trust us a little bit. Don't go pushing everyone away in your quest to win this war.
She also, because Cornwell and Lorca are old friends, as this episode establishes, and she's like, I don't know about this Burnham thing. It's kind of weird that you're dead set on using the only mutineer in Starfleet who everyone thinks started the war. And he's like, don't you tell me how to run my ship. The regulations say that I can draft anyone I damn well please.
His southern accent is not as thick as that, but sure.
It is implied through the way he talks.
Okay.
Not present in the screen, but the effect of the accent comes across regardless.
Yes. So yeah, he gets kidnapped, and then we're introduced to Harry Mudd, played by Rainn Wilson, one of the first characters they announced when they announced cast for the show.
Yep. Got Mudd, you got Sarek.
Rainn Wilson is really good in this episode.
Yeah, he is.
I feel like I always it's hard to shake The Office, that casts a long shadow, but he plays that character with the right kind of, it's much more menacing than Mudd is in the original series, but he plays it the same sort of, you see how he just showed up and acted like a buffoon on the Enterprise and Kirk bought it.
Yep.
But also in this much more dire situation, he's super shady. He's super fucking shady.
It's also because it's this show, they have to establish Mudd as a ridiculous buffoon, undercut that with him being sinister, have a small plot, and then set up some future tension with him and Lorca in the space of 4 scenes while other shit is going on. It is
also
very busy.
Also, he's basically a DS9 character.
He is 100% a DS9 character by now.
Because he shows up and he's like, I was making a living out in this universe before you showed up with your space socialism and ruined everything for everybody by starting this stupid war.
Yeah, because they're like, "Oh, do you support the Klingons?" And he's like, "No, I don't support the Klingons. I just know that there's more of us down here on the planets than there are of you lot in your space, and you shouldn't have been surprised when someone pushed back," which is like the tagline of Beyond as well.
Yeah. I mean, it's the space you play in when you play in pre-TOS stuff, right?
Yep. It's it's cool. He is very good. He's so good.
Yep.
The like gimmick of the Klingons in this episode is that, as the title says, they allow you to choose your pain, which means it's like they come in and say choose your pain, and you will pick which one of you gets beaten. It's a way of making sure that you don't like bond too heavily with your prisoners because you are complicit in getting them beat up.
Yeah. So there's like one unnamed Starfleet officer in there that gets totally killed immediately, just to show that the Klingons are not messing around. And then the next day, Lorca's just looking around and it sees Ash Tyler there. And Ash Tyler says that he has been kidnapped by the Klingons there since the Battle of the Binary Stars, which they say has been 7 months since now, which checks out. But then Lorca's like, I don't believe that. No one can survive Klingon torture for 7 months. Something must be going on. And he's like, well, the captain's taking a shine to me, and implying that he's like, the captain's man, I guess, in the way that icky things happen in space or something. I don't know. Anyway, the problem with this, Jackson, is if the captain of the ship is L'Rell, she has been trapped on the sarcophagus ship with Vok for 6 months.
Yeah, I'm gonna was that actually L'Rell or not?
So I don't know. It was like basically the same. It was the same suit as L'Rell, and Memory Alpha has it listed as Mary Shifo as L'Rell.
So yeah, I would have to go back and check directly, but I'm fairly sure that was L'Rell.
But if that was L'Rell, that means that she's only been there at most 3 weeks, because that means she was probably assigned there after she got off the ship with Cole and everybody in last episode 3 weeks ago, which means Ash Tyler is either lying or greatly mistaken about the passage of time.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have answers.
Like, this cannot be like an oversight. That's not how shows are made anymore. This is clearly like going to be a plot point at some point.
I googled L'Rell, and people, or I Twitter searched L'Rell, and everyone is debating whether was that L'Rell in that episode. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Okay.
Apparently, it was definitely L'Rell. After Trek was talking about being L'Rell, like the actor was on, so that was totally L'Rell. So that's probably an intentional thing. That it seems too big of an oversight. So something's going on with those two.
Yep. And then L'Rell gets. In their escape, she gets a very, I'm going to be a major character going forward, scar on her face.
Almost as if they don't want the situation of, is this L'Rell? Does it ever happen again?
I mean, the makeup, L'Rell's makeup is really distinct, so I was pretty sure that was L'Rell.
Yeah, no. But the lighting is very dark on the Klingon ship.
Yeah.
Especially compared to the ships that we've seen so far, like that big ship, that Dukovna's ship.
The Klingons torture Gabriel Lorca by basically subjecting him to bright lights because he is photosensitive due to injury. And then this episode, in his discussions with Ash Tyler and Harry Mudd, reveals how he was injured and what happened to him before he was Captain of Discovery, in which he was. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to pick up from that, but you can do it.
I wanted to see if I could find the actual. So he was the captain of the USS Buran at some point, and was
a month into the war.
Yeah, a month into the war, and his ship was attacked by Klingons, and he managed to escape. But instead of allowing his ship to be captured by the Klingons and everyone taken prisoner, he blew it up himself. Yeah,
like the scene is like, Lorca's a survivor. Lorca's a coward. He is like, his ship came under attack from the Klingons, and he was the only survivor, and the ship was lost. He is going to be fine here, and like it's basically Mudd going, you can't call me a shithead. This is what you've done. I know this about you for plot reasons. Also, I'm Mudd. And then he reveals like, yeah, you got it half right, but I blew them up. No, they're not going to take my crew. and have them like executed in the street or whatever Klingons do in this version of Klingons.
Yep.
He is the Dark Captain. Lorca's great. Lorca's the best.
Yeah, but this basically, like, totally dashes anyone's, like, speculation, to me anyway, that Lorca is, like, secretly from the Mirror Universe or anything. No, he's just a guy who had a bunch of bad shit happen to him, and now he's willing to do what he thinks is necessary to finish a war.
There was no worlds in which that was ever true.
Yeah. I looked it up, and the Buran is a Soviet space plane, like a shuttle that was built and had one space flight in 1988. Sorry.
Nice.
So yeah, that's all I got when I Googled it. So I guess that's what it is. It just looks like the space shuttle.
Yep. But yes, no. That they bond. Ash and Lorca, and Lorca is able to escape with Ash. Like they have planned an escape silently / off screen. I assume a bit of both. Like maybe they talked a little bit in downtime, but
I assumed that was mostly just like they both knew when the opportunity arose to get the hell out of there.
That was my feeling as well. Like
yeah.
They have the thing happens with like, oh, who's gonna get beat up, and they go to pick Ash. And Mud's like, oh, thank God you're not actually going to pick me, even though I'm the one who's clearly been like spying on you, because Mud has survived this long by having a spying device on his like weird pet in order to listen in on the prisoners, which is weird.
Oh, you mean he has a bug on his bug?
Yes, he has a bug on his bug. Shut up. Which is weird because you'd think that they could just have that on the ship. They wanted to listen in on the prisoners.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I thought that was dumb.
Well, no, it is dumb.
And in that, it is actually a ruse, and then both Lorca and Ash like fucking murder the Klingons that are there, like steal their guns, beat them up, shoot them, and head out towards the docking bay. Ash gets shot, and he is left behind by Lorca. He's like, I'll come back for you. I'm going to find a ship. We're going to get out of here. I'll come back for you. And he does in the nick of time, like saving Ash from L'Rell's attack and scarring her in the process. And together they fly out in a Klingon cruiser, like a cruiser.
You were just cruising past things I wanted to talk about. They have changed the way disruptors work to make them seem like the most horrible weapons ever created.
Sorry, I forget that you're way more Star Trek deep lore than me. Please explain disruptors.
The Klingon disruptors, originally, they're much like the Romulan ones where you hit someone and then there's like a digital effect and they disintegrate or whatever. Now, if you shoot someone with a disruptor, they literally just turn into a cloud vapor, which means that when Lorca probably shot that Klingon that was on Ash before L'Rell showed up, Ash Tyler probably inhaled a bit of that Klingon that had been vaporized, and that's fucked up.
Yes, it is. I don't know. I feel like I was like, okay, it's a bit weird. Like the graphics have changed on it. But
it's so much worse to me that they just turn into like these puffs of green smoke.
What do you think happened before?
They're burnt up instantly.
And that doesn't lead to smoke?
No, it's different. Like the digital effect is like a digital effect, and this is just like poof, they're a bunch of weird green mist and then they dissipate. And that's I think it looks so much worse. It looks so much more violent.
Yeah. It's a lot. It is a lot. It is. The weapons are much more gun.
And like in a place where like they haven't really changed like warp that much, and they definitely haven't changed the transporter or how like replicating things change. To change this specifically to be like that, to me, is like they knew that they wanted to make this look really awful, and then they did.
Oh, they definitely did. But I don't think it's like as big a change. Like they changed the aesthetics of the show a lot. They've changed the
first time they vaporized a Klingon, I was stunned. I'm just gonna say.
No, I mean, yes, yeah, that's fine. That's fair. But yes, then they get into a Klingon fighter and escape from the facility.
A Klingon like scout ship. It's like it's given a name. I don't remember what it's called exactly, but they are not like it's like a weird thing because it's like a weird like peacock ball thing. They look strange.
Conveniently has 2 seats.
Yep.
And is controlled by both of them. Yep. As this is pod racing themselves away from pursuing ships of identical design.
Yep. Oh, a snow speeder.
Yes. That's what I was thinking of.
Yep.
And it's at this point that Sarah is like looking at the screen and realizes, hang on, they don't know we're here yet because we haven't revealed ourselves, but should we attack these fighters that are coming in range? And everyone's like, oh, should we attack? Should we do this? And so I was like, hang on. That's Lorca. They're chasing him. That's clearly Lorca. That's clearly what's happened here. And they make contact and beam him out.
So I thought this scene was really dumb.
With the scene of him recognizing Lorca?
Yes. Also, why does nobody know that the Discovery is there? A Federation ship materialized in the middle of Klingon space. Near a warship, like a prison ship.
They haven't revealed themselves yet. They're out of range.
They're right there. You can see them when the Klingon ships are pursuing Lorca. You can see the Discovery out there in the distance.
You can't. I mean, to be fair, their captain was just shot.
I'm just saying, I don't like this whole scene. Feels like a matter of convenience and not actually good.
I mean, it was definitely that.
Yes.
But I did like Saru going, hang on, don't shoot the guys. Let's work this out now.
Yep, he takes a long time to come to that conclusion.
Yes, when it's very obvious from the start. Yes, that whole scene is like, he has an explanation about, well, if you know, packs when hunting will usually split into two groups, one ahead of their prey, and it's like, yes, I know, that's Lorca.
I'm just saying, when Deanna Troi would have outpaced you with her empathy, you're fucking up.
Oh, poor Saru. You being compared to Deanna Troi and your captain's abilities, like, get fucked, Saru. How do you continue? Yep. Do we have any more takes about this episode?
No, this episode was fine. I'm excited. Oh, you know what I want to talk about?
The robot.
No, but you can talk about the robot if you want.
The robot has some lines. It's very cool.
I think she's an android.
Okay.
Or not a cyborg that is like alien. Like, she's not human, and her cyborgness is like, it's like different. So she's not like, obviously there can't be androids because androids are new. So she is like part organic.
Oh, I guess that would be weird if there was just a android in Star Trek. That is a very specific thing that means something.
Yeah. The thing I wanted to talk about is next year, Jackson, the second Discovery book comes out.
Yes, it does. So we have both, we are going to read the final Mission Gamma book this month, and the next month we are reading Desperate Hours, the first Discovery book, which is about the Shenzhou and the Enterprise under Captain Pike meeting and having an adventure together, which is going to be some good, fun nonsense. Early 2018, however, the second Discovery book comes out. Please tell me what the summary for that is.
So this book is called Drastic Measures because all these books have terrible titles.
Wait, but wasn't the last one called Desperate? Was it called Desperate Hour?
Desperate Hours and Drastic Measures.
They're doing a fucking theme that sucks. Oh my god! I mean, they've had to name a lot of these books.
Yeah, no.
Typhon Pact.
I'm just going to read you the actual summary that I sent to Jackson. And if you've been following along with all of SOS since we've started, you'll understand why we both freaked out about this.
Yes. All right. Hit me.
It is 2246, 10 years prior to the Battle of the Binary Stars, and an aggressive contagion is ravaging the food supplies of a remote Federation colony, Tarsus 4, and the 8,000 people who call it home. Distress signals have been sent, but any meaningful assistance is weeks away. Lieutenant Commander Gabriel Lorca and a small team assigned to a Starfleet monitoring outpost are caught up in the escalating crisis and bear witness as the colony's governor, Adrian Kodos, employs an unimaginable solution in order to prevent mass starvation. While awaiting transfer to her next assignment, Commander Philippa Georgiou is tasked with leading to Tarsus 4 a small, hastily assembled group of first responders. It's hoped this advanced party will help stabilize the situation until more aid arrives, but Georgiou and her team discover that they're too late. Governor Kodos has already implemented his heinous strategy for extending the colony's besieged food stores and safeguarding the community's long-term survival. In the midst of their rescue missions, Georgiou and Lorca must now hunt for the architect of this horrific tragedy and the man whom history will one day brand Kodos the Executioner.
So this is a lot. One, it's going to have to deal with the timeline conflicts of how old Kirk is at this time, because Kirk's on that planet. Kirk knows Kodos.
Kirk is 13 years old on Tarsus 4.
That is not how the episode plays how old Kirk was when he met Kodos.
He was a child.
Yep. Also, that implies that Lorca can't survive until the Enterprise era or the TOS era, because isn't everyone dead but Kirk?
Everyone
and the guy
who
on the ship?
everyone who had seen Kodos.
Okay, so maybe Lorca will never see Kodos' face.
Yeah, I think they specifically mean survivors of Tarsus 4 and not necessarily people who just happen to be around there or responding.
I mean, it doesn't matter. Like, this is all like very poorly defined stuff that they could fudge the lines with. But you don't make the choice to write a book about bringing not just Lorca but bringing Giorgio into the story of Kodos.
Young Lorca and Giorgio team up with child James T. Kirk in a reference to Conscience of a King. I am so goddamn excited. Are you kidding me?
You don't write that book unless you're going to go deep on the lore bullshit. I can't believe that. I mean, yes, I can believe it, but like, they start this new Star Trek series, which is intended to be a new era, a new we're going to bring new people on. It's going to be fucking Star Trek, Game of Thrones. We're going to sell our new streaming service. It's going to be fantastic. And then the tie-in things is a crossover with characters of an episode that aired in the 60s that only old people and nerds have seen.
Yep. Please look forward to it.
You better believe we're reading that.
Yeah, no, 100%. I'm very excited. I like the establishment of like Giorgio as like a character with this huge storied history that has just done everything.
Yeah, no, she is. She's like the embodiment of Star Trek as an idea, as like a thematic thing, and they did it in 2 episodes and a bunch of books now.
Like the way in which like 20 years from now, Star Trek nerds will look at it as like Giorgio was Picard a century earlier.
Yeah, I love it. It's great.
Yep.
She could be back. The Mirror Universe Giorgio.
No, let's. You know what? Actually, I'm 100% there for evil as fuck, Philippa Giorgio. Are you kidding
what are you
me?
kidding? Yeah, like you're like, oh, you can't do that, but no, she's clearly evil.
Yep.
It's gonna be great.
Like I want her to be like actually evil and not like Mirror DS9 evil, in which everyone is just like horny and evil.
I mean, it's if they're gonna play into some of that, you know they are. The show's gonna get horny at some point.
Oh, please don't.
You know it is. Like, it's inevitable. It's fine.
No. I've got my 2 pure ships on my ship, and that's all I want.
Yeah, like, it's fine. They've handled it well so far.
Oh, one last thing. The Elon Musk thing from last episode.
Oh, God, we forgot to fucking mention the Elon Musk line. God, it sucks. I'm still mad about it.
It sucks. It is 100% like, when you look at something like Star Trek, you always have to keep in mind that while I want to believe in my best heart that the people who are writing Star Trek are people who like believe in the future and like believe in goodness of people, blah, blah, blah. They're still Hollywood writers, and they're still mostly a bunch of like middle upper class to upper class white folk writing a goddamn Star Trek show. And that means they're going to look at Elon Musk and be like, yeah, no, he's a big deal. He's a good man for history. But also Zephyr Cochrane was a fucking drunk who pissed in the woods. Like, fuck him.
He had to take a leak.
I hate it.
When's our first contact episode, huh?
I don't know.
Email in at EMBeing on Twitter. Let them know if you want them to rewatch and talk about First Contact. You probably don't have to rewatch that. No, wait, you haven't seen it with Destiny yet.
No, yeah, I know.
At least you only have to do it once.
Jackson, be the host. Do the thing the host does at this moment.
What are the plugs, Em?
I was waiting. You can find this episode at StarTrekPodcast.space. Of course, the Abnormal Mapping Podcast Network is full of an array of shows. Our video game club once a month, Abnormal Mapping at thebestgame.club. We are about to record our Final Fantasy X episode. It's going to be a doozy, so please do check it out. Jackson records with our good friend Molly a podcast about the lore and music of Coheed and Cambria. You can find that at ineedmayo.com. It is my favorite stupid thing on the internet.
It's very dumb.
You can support us and all we do at Patreon at patreon.com/abnormalmapping. There, if you subscribe at $1 a month, you will get our specific Patreon podcast, The Great Gundam Project, in which me and Jackson go through Gundam 2 episodes a week forever until we're done.
Forever.
Well, look, we'll probably be done before we'll probably run out of Gundam. We're gonna run out of Gundam before I run out of Star Trek.
It's only because of the rate we're doing it, but yes.
I know, but I'm just saying. And it's a good time. You can go on YouTube, youtube.com/abnormalmapping. You'll find this episode. You'll find Let's Plays. There's a lot of stuff there. And I'm on Twitter, of course, at em_being. Jackson.
Yes. I am on Twitter on Headphones Off. We also host other podcasts. We have Fireside Friends at firesidefriends.net, which is Ryan's podcast, what they run. It's cool. That's it for now. There might be new ones coming soon. It's a busy time at Abnormal Mapping. I guess that's it. I guess we're done. See you out there.